Hello, and welcome to all of you beautiful soul sisters. Thank you for joining me here today on the Heart of the Soul podcast. My name is Amana, and I am so happy that you are here. This is a space where we explore what it means to be wild women walking upon this earth, connecting about that which is often unseen and unspoken through the ancient ritual of storytelling. May soaking in these stories bring you closer to your own innate knowing and center you into a more embodied and alive version of your beautiful, unique self. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. The moon is currently waxing towards a bold and full moon in Aries tomorrow. My daughter is in Aries. I expected her to be a Pisces based on when she was going to be like when my 40-week mark was in pregnancy, but she stayed in another week and a half after her 40-week mark. And so I thought she was going to be a Pisces, and she's an Aries. So today on this show, this is going to be a solo episode where I am sharing some things, some stories, my personal perspective on some things. I'm going to try to also speak about like how my beliefs and perspectives have changed across time and why this is normal. But I also understand that this topic that I'm going to get into is can be very triggering for some people. And I just want to say that I see you, I feel you, I have been you. I'm going to tell a few different stories around this topic, and just know that I used to feel very strongly in one way. If we, in life, sometimes they force us to divide. Or we're not forced to divide, but our culture likes the media, something. I don't understand exactly what it is, but divides us. And so what am I trying to say? I feel like this is a hard thing to articulate, but I'm going to move into it in a little bit. But just a little life update is that my husband is away for work again now. So I'm at home with my two littles and trying to do all the things. And it's just such a different flow without his support. Like recording even this solo episode or my episodes with other people are just challenging in a different way when I don't have the spaciousness that I do when he is here, because we have two littles that are 4 and 7. So, I've been feeling that energy of him being gone. He's been gone for over 2 weeks now, and he's working in Asheville, North Carolina right now, in that area after Hurricane Helene just totally decimated that area and changed so many lives, took many lives. But now the weather is shifting. Today it's rainy outside. It's October, the leaves, the colors, the earth is calling us to shed as she sheds here in the Northern Hemisphere. I have been leaning into this energy. I've been feeling more tired some of these days, although today I feel a little more energized in this moment in spite of not getting that much sleep. So the topic I'm going to talk about is one that has often, like many of my peers, just choose not to address it or talk about it. Even when people ask them specific questions about it, they avoid the topic because the people that believe a different or opposite way can be can attack when they share their true beliefs. And of course, like I said, my beliefs have shifted and changed across time. And in my perspective, I've never attacked someone for their belief that is even oppositional to me. And I feel like we've really lost this art of being able to disagree with someone and still be friends and still like value their what they believe, or even if we don't agree with it, but just to know that it's there, but not have to fight them on it or try to change their perspective. We can share our own beliefs, and how can we disagree with one another and still be friends? I have many friends and family that do not share my beliefs or that disagree with some of my life choices or my values. And in my perspective, this is okay, normal, and expected. You know, what I've been witnessing out in the world is these binaries and people separating us and attacking each other for having different beliefs rather than saying, okay, like I can understand why you might believe that. Because I definitely feel that way about this topic, which I haven't named yet, but we're getting there. It will be through stories that this topic comes out, and I'll share more about that as we move forward in this solo episode. I'm just gonna make sure, yeah, okay, it's recording. I can't like see there. And I did write myself a few little notes, but mostly I'm going to be trying to riff and share from my heart in this felt moment with you. I have been feeling really called. I've been feeling my spirit team, universe calling me to speak my truth boldly and to show up and be seen, even though that is absolutely, it's a practice for me and it's not easy. And I know that some people might, send me their opinion. They might be mad at me. They might disagree with me, but I don't feel like at the same time, there's many people that I know in my life that have shared their belief that is different than mine. And I have chosen not to attack them or tell them I don't want to be friends with them. Like, would we stop being friends with a person just because they don't like our favorite meal that we eat, or a movie that we love? And our beliefs shift across time. So I think where I want to start today is a really impactful experience that happened to me this last spring. So this last spring, I had the incredible honor of witnessing and supporting a woman as she free birthed her daughter at home after having a home birth transfer that ended in a C-section, an unnecessary C-section with her first child. And I was staying in a place near to her, a beautiful Airbnb, and I was invited to, like, we loved the hosts that were there, the woman, the man, the woman, and their child. It was so fun to be with them on their land for that those weeks of time. And the woman invited me to what she called a women's sweat, or a women's sauna. So they had a sauna on their property, and so I was invited to attend this women's sauna. And it was just a few days after this birth occurred, so I was just like in this cosmic, beautiful space. I had just witnessed this woman in her power birth her daughter into the world, which is always just like a beautiful, incredible experience to witness that first breath. And so I was excited to attend this women's sweat. And Yeah. And so on the day, I went there, across the land. And of course, it was, the one woman that I had met, and then lots of women that were strangers to me, lots of people that were strangers to me. So outside of the sauna, I met several women, embraced them. I didn't actually know, but there were already a couple people inside the sauna. So I was I'm fairly comfortable with nudity at this time in my life, but I have not always been that way. Just moving some things around here on my screen. Um, but I wore my swimsuit over there, but I was open to the possibility of feeling like going naked in my birth suit, in the way that we all enter the world without clothing. And I was, yeah, out there, met these other women, and I saw that most of them were completely getting undressed. And I decided, what a special time, I'm going to do this too. And so I shed my clothing, I shed my swimsuit. I just had a little towel around me, and I walked into the sauna. There were a couple other people in there, and I sat down on one of the lower benches and could see there was someone here to my left and a few other people. And then when I turned to my left, this person looked at me and introduced themselves as, I don't remember the name that this person used, but immediately I could feel that they were not a female, that this was not a woman. And this man looked at my naked body in a way that gave me the icks. And I froze, which is something I also didn't anticipate, the way that I would be in this situation. I remember I looked at this person and I was like, immediately could tell. Did you know that women are able to identify whether a person is a man or a woman from like many, many feet away? Where we can identify that much more accurately than males can from far away. I believe it's because it's a skill for safety that we need. And so this person introduced themselves, and my understanding was that this was a women only sweat. My husband loves saunas, and so he had asked, like, can I come too? And she said it's for women only. That he could come in the sauna like before the women were there or after, but not during, which I get. It's a women's space. And so he had sat in the sauna for a bit before the people arrived. So then I'm in here with a male and totally sort of confused. And the other women in the space were acting like this was totally normal. And I had this idea that if I ever entered a space like that I would just get up and leave. And that's not what I did. I sat there sort of stunned, frozen in my like nervous system, and in a way like fawning to the experience. Like I didn't try to continue dialogue with this person. I immediately like pulled my towel back up over my body and covered myself. And I found myself wondering, like, do they know that this is a man? Because I can feel that this is a male energy. And I could feel how his presence changed the entire space inside that sauna. It was not the same as if this person was a female. And I found myself wondering, like, does he still, is his penis still on the outside? Or has he had like the surgery that pushes the penis up inside to look as though a person has a vulva and a vagina? And but I couldn't see the way that he was sitting. Later, I did see that, yes, he still had an intact penis that was flapping around outside. Um, and so I I didn't know what I felt like, yeah, I didn't know what to do. I felt like, I didn't want to be, part of me didn't want to be rude by just like getting up and leaving. I did eventually exit the sauna and like chatted, but I was so thrown by this. And I have honestly been processing it since then. And I'm sure we'll continue to sort of process that experience. But I had felt so open after this birth. And then all of a sudden I walk into a women's sauna and there's a man there. And I was so confused. And I went out and was talking to some other women outside of the sauna. There was like a little area where we were hanging out on the deck. And I had wanted that like women time and to connect with some of these women. And I I didn't know. I had a hard time leaving. And I remember seeing this other young girl arrive in her 20s. I think I'm in my 40s now. And I feel like, she said it was her first time. And I feel like her too, like she went in there and then came back out again, probably uncomfortable with the way that this man was looking at her. And I just want to say that I wish I had been told that this man was going to be in the women's only sweat. I, because that would have changed. I probably wouldn't have even attended, let alone taken off my clothes before I went in there. When I spoke to the host later, or hostess, she had said that this person identifies as a two-spirit. And in my perspective, that's okay. Like I can respect a human identifying as a two-spirit, and yet our biology says something different, and our physicality says something different. This man has never experienced what it's like to be a woman in this lifetime. Never. Has always been a man. And I feel like, out of respect, this man should not have entered this women's sauna. I believe that there could be a sauna for two spirits. Or if the males were comfortable having him as a biological male in the male sweat, that would feel like a more appropriate space for this man to be. And this is my opinion. And obviously, I don't know how these other women felt in there. I didn't know any, I had just met them. I didn't ask any of these other women how they felt about this male being in the women only sweat. But I share this because I believe that our biology matters, that women only spaces are important and they do matter. And I believe that we need to protect them. It's one of my goals to create more women only spaces, and trans women are not women. They are men pretending to be women and wanting to be women, and yet they will never actually be a woman. They will be trans women, men pretending to be women. I'm not sure how to transition here, but so let me give you a little bit of background, though, that I'm someone who grew up feeling uh okay. Where do I begin with this? When I was in ninth grade, I found out so I grew up with two older brothers. And when I was in ninth grade, I found out that my eldest brother was choosing to live life pretending to be a woman at that point. He was off at college, so I was not, I did not see him, her on a daily basis. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that this was something that he was feeling like he wanted to be a woman. Um, and so it was a big surprise to me at that age. It wasn't common in the media or even just in mainstream life like it is now. At that time, it was very just a lot less spoken about and known about. So for my brother, he chose to start living as a woman and asked us to call him a new name. And I just wanted, him to be happy. And I'm gonna keep using him right now as much as I can, although I might say her or she, because I have been using those pronouns for him out of respect when I'm with him. But in my perspective, he, although he pretends to be a woman and is called a woman name, and even had the surgery to push his penis up inside of him to appear externally more female. Obviously, he is still a male. If you test his blood, he's male. He has those hormones in his body, has a prostate, has an Adam's apple, all these things that are unchangeable. Well, maybe you can remove the prostate, but anyway. So as I grew up so that was in my teens. So in my teens and in my 20s, I just, I still love this sibling. We call him, Auntie. Our children call him Auntie. And yet I'm also very clear with my children that he is a male and that he wants to be a female, but he never actually will be. But we call him Auntie because that's what he would prefer. And that's what he wants. And people ask me sometimes, like, what would you say to your son if he wanted to be a woman? And I would say, I in my beliefs, one can dress differently. One can choose a different dress, a different name. And I think that's totally fine for people to do that. And yet it does not change your biology. It does not change your sex. Sex is unchangeable. Gender, the expression of gender, I feel is, fluid, and some females dress what we would consider very masculine, and the opposite of males dressing very feminine. But I don't believe that changes our sex. My truth is that is not changeable. And yet when I was even in my early 30s, so in my early 30s, I remember being in a women's group, like a goddess circle, and somehow the topic came up, like they were defining like what is a female or a woman, and it was, having a womb or having had a womb. And I had been thinking about like, oh, if my sister, in quotes, comes to visit, I would love for him, her, to be able to attend this circle, this women's circle, because he identifies as a woman. And I remember bringing this up in circle, and there was lots of people that disagreed with this and were not comfortable with that. And I remember at the time just like not understanding and feeling like, if if he believes he's a woman, like he's a woman. And I want, him to have all the opportunities that he can in this, to be with other women and have the experience of being a woman. And now I can understand these perspectives of some of the other women that were like, oh, like, having a male in this space would make them fearful from the trauma of the experiences that they've had with other males, that there is a different kind of safety in a female only space. And yet now here I'm on that, I am having that same belief of trans men should not be in women only spaces. I believe trans men should not be in women's sports. Whether that's when they're children or adults or the Olympics level. I had a conversation with someone a few weeks ago, and she was saying that in her perspective, like it really only matters in sports at a certain like competitive level. But I have a different view. Um, hmm. So I can just to pause for a moment. I can just feel the nerves in me of trying to articulate this to you, whoever here is choosing to listen, and trying to determine what else feels important to say here. And like another sort of thread of this same topic is the way that the industrial medical system and complex is treating, in quotes, I'm not sure what other word to use here, young children who are still growing and developing and changing their identities all the time. There was a time when I felt supportive of those there. I heard mothers and people talking about children that were at that moment in time saying that they believed they were the opposite sex or wanting to pretend to be the opposite sex, and that the best path for that child was for them to receive what is called like gender affirming care, which includes hormones and life altering hormones and surgeries at a very young age. And at the time when I first heard this, that made sense, because if a boy feels that they're a woman, then you would want to like stop some of the like growth and changes that happen during puberty for their body to appear more of the opposite sex that they are wanting to appear like. And after years and some dialogue and hearing some stories from different people that did experience this as children, and now they're adults or in their teens even and 20s, and they have changed their minds, and yet they have had unchangeable surgeries and hormones that create infertility in their bodies and create non-functional genitalia. I believe that surgeries and hormones should not be given to these children. I don't even believe it should happen at 18 or even a few years after 18. I mean, I'm now in my 40s and my 20s. Like I was me and my peers, like we were still growing and changing, and you're sort of lost and you need guidance. But the fact that it is becoming or has become accepted that one would allow this child to make this decision to take hormone therapy that is experimental, right? We also don't know like what this is actually doing to these bodies, to these humans, what the negative consequences might be years from now that we won't know until years from now. But I do know that even not years from now, there are consequences that are irreversible consequences, causing people not to be able to create human life if they so choose later on, making it so that women cannot have babies, young girls having their breasts removed, which then makes it so if they ever choose to have a baby, they have no possibility of breastfeeding and nourishing that baby with their body. If they still even have the ability to have children. And that is, in medicine, what's like the number one rule that they preach that is theirs? Do no harm. So how is that, what's the word? Like, how does that align with creating damage on a child's body? Irreversible damage on their healthy tissue. Healthy flesh being cut open and altered. I also feel this way about plastic surgery. I am a victim. I would say maybe I would call myself a victim. I don't know if victim is really what I identify with, but I was duped by the culture of plastic surgery when I was young. And I was in a position and in a family that that valued plastic surgery and was open to it, and gave me the opportunity and encouraged me to have rhinoplasty. My nose should be out a little bit more here. And from movies and things, I thought that I was unattractive with a nose like that. And the other part that I actually really was self-conscious of on my nose was this part here. And yeah, but that is there. And now I wish, I yearn for that part of my nose that is no longer there. So how is this doing no harm? And this is a surgery that I had when I was like 17, 16, 17, like not even fully grown yet. You're not fully grown until you're in your 20s. Like your brain isn't fully developed till you're in your 20s. Your physicality changes. I grew inches in college. When I was in my 20s, I grew. Even though they say women don't grow after like 15 or something. Uh, so I feel like what we're doing to these children, the ways that medical providers are talking to parents about this, the things that they're offering to these children should not be possible. These should not be surgeries and hormones offered to these young children. If this is a new topic to you and you've never heard of detransitioners, please look up a few of their stories. Just listen to a few of them and what they have to say about their experience. When we are so malleable when we're children and we're finding our way and we want to fit in and we feel like we should look a certain way. And I do understand someone wanting the inside to match the outside, and yet either direction, but a boy's inside even if it's in their mind feeling like they're a girl, they still hormonally are not a girl. Their physical body will never change into a female body. They can live pretending to be, but they will never actually be the opposite sex. And I feel like maybe that's just my main point here, is that we will never be the opposite sex. And now when people are upset about being like misgendered, it's so interesting, because in reality, when they're being misgendered, they're actually being properly gendered, right? Like that someone, in spite of however they look, that person has that inner innate sense, animal sense, that they're actually the opposite sex. Even though they present like this, they actually are their biology. And if I were to say to you, I'm an eagle. Call me eagle. Call me a bird. You obviously know that I'm not a bird. I'm not an eagle. I can't fly. But you might, out of like kindness or politeness, say, here's my friend, the eagle, Amana. But you know that I'm not really an eagle, right? It doesn't make it true. Just like this culture of furries and children saying that they're cats or dogs, it doesn't actually make it true. And when we affirm that, I think it's great for imagination and play and fantasy, but as a mom, I don't want to actually like affirm that delusion, right? And like I said, if my son grows up and decides that he wants to pretend to be a woman, like I will continue to love him and call him by some other name if he wants. But I'm also not going to I'm going to tell him the truth, that he is never actually going to be a woman. Trans women cannot grow life in their womb. Trans women cannot birth babies. And these magazine covers showing a biological woman who's pretending to be a man and saying trans men, like trans man births baby. No, or just man births baby, I think is what it actually has said on there. Like man gives birth. How confusing is that to children? Like a man actually cannot and did not give birth. And I know some people think that science at some point will find a way for men to give birth, but honestly, I don't believe it. And I don't see that. And that's actually not the future I'm hoping for. In my perspective, men cannot give birth. And putting that on a magazine cover showing what appears to be a man, but what I know is a biological female giving birth, like that is a lie to children. It's a lie to everyone. And I bought into that lie. A prior version of myself bought into the lie and supported the lie. And now I'm just in this moment of time in my life where I am pushing through this fear to speak publicly about it and say that men cannot give birth. Trans women are not women. They're trans women. And, I was a registered nurse, and on a person's chart, if they are a trans person, it still is important for us to know, even if we're calling the patient by a female name, to know that they're actually biologically male, because their anatomy is different, that the different disease processes are more likely in men than in women. And so it's this odd disconnect where the medical system is in one way like affirming this delusion and creating surgeries, creating ways to mutilate their bodies to appear more like the opposite sex. And I'm kind of like flying all over the place here a little bit, but like Have you ever considered like what that does to their erotic life and their ability for pleasure? I consider this often. I mean, most trans most trans people that are women who are identifying as men don't have a surgery, a gender affirming quote unquote bottom surgery because it's not a good surgery. I also don't think that the one for men is good, but it has a different appearance, right? Like it's a lot harder for them to try and create a penis, especially a functional one. We don't have that right now that is in a good way. And of course, it wouldn't actually be a penis. It would be tissue from the female's body that is trying to function and appear penis-like. But can you imagine if you? I can't exactly imagine, obviously, what it's like to be a male, but I can envision like, oh, okay, and so your anatomy is on your outside, this erotic tissue, your penis, and what is their arousal like once that penis is pushed up inside of them to create a hole for the appearance of female anatomy? What happens when they get aroused? Because that would create an incredible amount of scar tissue. I've had multiple surgeries and I can feel that where I've had scarring, like my sensation is not the same. Can these people still have orgasms in the same way? I can't imagine that they can. And I feel like our erotic life and pleasure is a very, very important part of being a human. To have that ability and have that as part of our life. And yet, these younger and even not younger people choosing this surgery that is sold to them because it will give them the appearance that they're desiring, but it actually doesn't solve like the internal struggle. Just like for me, having my nose altered didn't change my body image issues. It just shifted it somewhere else. I just shifted it to another part of my body because it's not my body that's the problem. It's me not having the self-love to love to love this physical form, this meat suit, how it is. And for me, it's been another journey now, like in my 40s, and having these different wrinkles here. You can see on YouTube, I'm close to the screen, but I feel sometimes I look at other women that are maybe my same age. I've never had Botox, never will have Botox or fillers or anything like that. I am doing my best to embrace and be grateful that I'm getting to grow older. Not every human gets to grow older. And I just feel like these people I would love to, I've been wanting to have the spaciousness to have this conversation with my sister. I'm also open to if you are, a trans-identified person and you would like to have some dialogue with me about, not on the podcast, but just privately, or maybe on the podcast, I don't know, about how you feel, uh, you know, how is your self-love, your internal self-love? Because I feel like that is what a lot of this is people not not loving who they actually are and wanting to be something different. And then there have been these opportunities for surgeries and hormones to shift you in outside of how you are. And does it solve the inner work, right? Body, our body love, it's an inside job to value ourselves, to value our form, to value who we are. Even if we have other people telling us that we're good or that we're beautiful, in the end, you have to believe it yourself to receive it and be it, right? or this is what I'm believing. I'm sorry, I keep saying right as though you're going to answer me and as though like that's for sure the truth. Because again, this is my perspective. These are my stories. Has been my experience. Yeah. What do you feel? What do you think about the fact that in Canada and in some states here in the US, a biological male that has an intact penis that is imprisoned or going to be imprisoned, they can just state, I'm a woman, and it and they can be placed into a female prison. Now, if you don't know much about female prisons, in female prisons, there's this hierarchy and their power dynamic is not good. And a lot of the guards are males and women are raped in female prisons. There are pregnancies in female only prisons. And now I've read stories of where these biological male criminals that even have charges like rape against women and battery, assault, and they say, "Oh, I identify as a woman," and so then they get placed into a female-only prison, even into a cell with one other actual female as a biological male, and these women inmates are being brutally raped and attacked by these men. I believe that this should not be occurring. I also believe that a person should not be able to have their sex changed on their driver's license, and that is currently also happening. So what do you think about that? I'm curious where you all are at with this. Where are your beliefs? Where is the line for you? Should there be biological males in women-only sports? Years ago, there were only male sports, right? And it's been a fight. It's been a journey to creating women-only sports. And even in these women's sports, they're still dismissed sometimes by men. Like, oh, like men's basketball is awesome, but the WNBA, like that's not worth watching. It's not worth watching women. And now we're allowing biological males into female-only sports and in the Olympics. And we have fought for these women's sports, and now men are coming in, and of course, their biology is different. Their strength, they are stronger biologically than women and faster. And so in these women's sporting events, swimming, for example, there's lots of, I forget her name, maybe I'll try and add a link to the show notes, but this female swimmer, she's blonde, and she talks about how this trans woman swimmer came in and beat all the women, right? And is standing up on the podium. And even she and this male swimmer had the same exact time, and they gave the medal to him for like politics, right? To appear, or because this system is in alignment with men being in female sports. And they're taking the spots that are meant for women, these like few spots that are meant for women, and these men are taking the medals. I couldn't believe when Jenner was on was like Woman of the Year. Like, how confusing is this? And how bizarre is this? I see it as bizarre and confusing. Other people see it as like, that's so awesome. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going on and on. I had initially, when I was preparing for this episode, thought that I might talk about multiple sort of topics that can be triggering, but before I sat down to record this, I decided, no, I'm just going to focus on this one, and I will talk about some of the other ones another time. I'm curious if this episode will be listened to the same as my other episodes, or if maybe people will choose not to listen to it. But I'm curious if you would like to share with me or talk to me more about this. I would like to do that in as respectful of a way as we can. If you just come at me with hate and rage, you're not going to be responded to. But if you can create a reasonable dialogue around this with me and share with me your perspectives, I am willing to listen. So I guess I'm just going to end there. I did not look at the time when I started recording, so I'm just going to wrap it up there for now. But I do believe that women's only spaces are important. Having a man in the space, just like if you had a group of like men hanging out and one woman showed up, it would change the whole thing, right? Like it would change the whole thing. Their attention would be different. The way she's interacting would just change the whole space. And the same is true of a bunch of women and one man walks in. It changes the whole dynamic. End, stop, or full stop. So thank you for making it to the end here. Thank you for tuning in and choosing to spend time with me today and soak in these stories. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of The Heart of the Soul. I would absolutely love for you to leave a rating, review, or share the show. You can support this podcast by donating to it using the PayPal or Venmo links found in the show notes below. If you have stories that you would like to share on my show, please send me an email through my website. I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to work with me online or in person, send me an email or a DM on Instagram. Find out more on my website. I work with people in the seasons of birthing babies, birthing, even if you're having not just babies, but having your own sort of rebirth process that we all go through multiple times throughout our life. If you're feeling a little lost alone, need some holding, tending to in that time, I'm here for you. I do mediumship readings. My website is birthingnova.love. If you're listening on Spotify, you can now send me a voice message through the link at the bottom of the show notes. So until next time, be brave, be love, be wild, be you, and be the change that you seek for yourself and for the generations to come. Love, love, love. Mwah.